Hi! You scared the shit out of me. I'm April, also known as Ouchie, or Achiri, and to pass an advanced diploma in animation at the uni I'm doing my course in, I made a short film called... Welcome to my skills presentation. In this video I'm going to be going over all the behind the scenes stuff that went into making my film, and some personal anecdotes towards the end. So yeah, let's get right into it. First things first, I need to say that I'm neurodiverse, and unfortunately quite disabled. So when I went into the course that was meant to last about a single year, instead I had it broken down into 2 years to fit my needs. But I ended up doing pretty well, and it did well. Yay! In the first year, 2024, I did script writing, business practices, VFX, sound editing, and the client project. That year, for my client project, I did 7 vacancies with Madison Everett. Pretty happy with what I worked on. I did some backgrounds for the pilot, I did some animation, I did this little dripping tap, and a graphic design slideshow of the Australian stock market devolving into nothing, you know, good stuff. In my second year, 2025, currently, I did 3D animation, anything related to the major animation project, and another client project. This year we did one called 7 Muse. I just did some animation for a singular section, thumbnails for the storyboard, and because I'd already done stuff last year, that was all I had to do, so that's good. Okay, now that we've talked about that, we can talk about... I'm pretty big into the weird side of the internet. I grew up on Adult Swim infomercials, really early ARGs like Petscop and anything by Alan Resnick, Vinesauce, and pretty much any indie game I could get my hands on my shitty little Mac. If I could pinpoint the media that inspired MURAL though, it would have to be Mouthwashing, which I played the day before I went back to uni in 2025, Psychonauts 2, the play Death of a Salesman, Twin Peaks, which I was watching as I was animating, and something I'm going to mention later for pacing purposes, and 2 years worth of brainstorming. Here we go. I went through about 9 different ideas over the course of 2 years. The 2 ones that I stuck with the longest was one called Resin. The overall concept was a brother of a character murders the neighbor who is a flower, and then turns that character into a resin flower. And the other one was What If, which was the one that happened before MURAL. It was meant to be a visual representation of my anxiety, but understandably, writing a story about having a meltdown made me have a meltdown. The actual inspiration came from that meltdown. I came home early that day. I was sitting in the shower, and the only thing I could really think about is wanting to peel my skin off and just deconstruct myself. So to handle that, because I had to come up with a new idea on the spot, I decided to make a film about making a film. Specifically, a symbolic representation of the struggle of making art, and the effort that just goes into making a mural.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for! That's what it's all about! Woo!
So I began work on the 16th of June, and I had 2 to 3 weeks to finish all my pre-production. The overall idea started as a guy ripping his face off and painting this really big heart on a wall as a mural. His face was actually like this initially. It was pretty scary. He had these frog eyes with this big grin. Very Pink Floyd, very I'm 13 and this is deep sort of thing. Mark was gonna have this creepy face, and then he was gonna take off all his clothes and pull off his face, and then the face underneath his mask face would be more expressive. The initial character designs were going to make him a bit naked, definitely a lot more intimate. He's straight up just grabbing his crotch over here. The most he ever lost was just his coat in the end, but I think it works well enough. I also decided to call him Mark, after a friend of mine in Ohio who is constantly in pain. The next day, I did a little face rip test. It was okay. The idea initially was definitely a lot more intense. There was going to be a lot of painting, symbolism, and music and stuff, but that all kind of had to be cut down later. The wall here, he definitely looked a lot smaller. So yeah, that's pre-production. I finished it, I got it done. I also got some feedback, but I don't think I followed any of it in the pre-production thing. And now, we start working on the animation. So I never actually had to write a script for the prior year, so I was kind of stuck in between what I was supposed to do. I'd already done an animatic and I didn't have time to do another one for the new idea, so I went to the best idea, rotoscoping. I put on the closest clothing I had to mark shapes. I put on these smart pants, shirt, this coat that I got from a thrift store,
Do you
the
think
slab shoes I wear in cosplays, balaclava. I put my glasses through the slit of my balaclava, and I use that as the reference for where the eyes would go in
Freeman,
the animation.
do you think
I moved my dining table all the way to the wall, I put my iPhone on like a tripod, and I filmed for about 3 hours. I based all my actions on the unfinished storyboard that I made. I also did a couple improv moments. Tapping the wall and taking the coat off was improvised. I edited everything together on Premiere Pro. I just kind of did whatever felt right after that point, because I didn't have a script. Initially, the animation was pretty rocky. I hadn't really animated anything on Toon Boom since the client project in 2024. So as I was animating, I was also remembering how to animate. To fix that, I cut the animation process into 2 sections. Act 1 and Act 2 after, and that would help me build up my skills towards the end. Initially, the animation style was going to be really smooth, but it was too difficult, so I actually decided to make it all sketchy. Every single line art was also the sketch. I took some of the images from my reference footage and drew adaptations on Procreate, and that helped me kind of draw the style as I went. I worked out a basic palette for the meantime, and then after that I just kind of went ham. My teacher, Nick, started doing this 1-week weather report thing, so I started writing down every time I worked on something, and oh boy, I'm really glad that I did this. It makes looking back on everything a lot easier. Also around this point, I removed Mark's frog eyes and the smile because it was too difficult to constantly link them up every single shot. And at that point, I was already really starting to get stressed out. Only 10 days had passed, but when you put in the travel time, which takes a long time because I live quite far away from the campus, working on the weekend to recover from that travel, eating, sleeping, cleaning yourself, cleaning your space. I think this is kind of where I learned the most difficult lesson about animation. 50% of animation is actually getting ready to animate, and then 10% of that animation is fixing things. All the other time is eating, sleeping, etc. By this point, I was getting really burnt out. Only a week and a bit had passed, and I love coloring, but I was coloring 120 frames worth of animation. Each frame, because of the way that I did the sketches, took me about 10 minutes, and that's when I was getting good at it. But with all that in mind, after I'd had that meltdown in class and everything kept going wrong, I kind of promised myself that I wouldn't give up. But another thing that was definitely nagging at me was the knowledge that what I was making wouldn't be for everyone. I mean, it's a guy who's ripping his hand off, and it's really grungy. But there was one reason why I kept working on this, and it's because of a little game called I genuinely don't think I would have gotten through the film if it weren't for this game. Discussion Over Dinner is a game about moving into a new neighborhood, meeting a neighbor, and then getting absolutely terrorized in his living space. I had not seen anything done like this before. So evidently, I joined the Discord server. I did some fan art, and I started talking to people, and I started posting my animation in the animation channel. I'd been on here a little before MURAL had started, and I just need to thank everyone in that server for getting me through this. All the hearts and all the sharing and thoughts. I'm so glad to have you little freaks around. And then also everybody from Daggerland, classmates, Mark, Ash, Mina, my mom and her work, and fucking Michael, Mitch giving me his old PC parts because my computer couldn't handle the animation anymore. It's fucking crazy. And free. Like, that's crazy. And that's the reason why I kept going. So let's keep going. I get through the timing and the coloring for Act 1. 10 days gives me 20 hours of animation. I get started on the face ripping scene. I change the idea from the face to the hand. I sew a glove and take it to class and rip it off as many times as I need to. I animate over it. It takes me 4 days. 165 frames of line art takes me 10 hours. I've become 60% faster. I have gasoline in my veins. Third term break hits. I have 2 weeks break. I say fuck that. I crunch every day except Sundays. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. I film my reference footage. Can't do the old mural anymore? No matter. I'll do another one. It works great. I lost 5 hours of animation, and I have to trace over it to fix it. Fuck that. I do 15 more hours, and I finish it. I get started on animating Mark's face. I don't know how to end the film. I think of a meme I like.
So that's why I always feel an overbearing presence just out of my field of vision, watching and judging my every move.
I add it to integrate the audience, and BAM! I got 135 hours of animation done. So after that, what else needs doing? Oh yes, right, thank you. Pre-production took a while, but it was a lot calmer overall. I added all the backgrounds, I reworked the hand ripping scene, I redid the colors, I drew a poster, I made these little animations for the credits, just lots of little touch-ups. I also animated a section for the intro to synesthesia. It's nothing that turns into the letter C. It took me about 4 hours to do. A major moment that happened around this time was the submission of the film into the film festival of synesthesia. So I edited everything together without sound and submitted it. And I'm a little surprised that it got accepted. I had 24 hours to finish everything. I spammed my composer and got in a call with them. She did these genuinely fantastic little bits of music. The film genuinely would not have been publishable without it as well. So big thank you again. Oh my god. Here's some words for what she thinks about it. Pause if you want to read it. And that's kind of it. I've been working on this video for about a week now. The festival is tomorrow as I'm recording this section. But that's it. That's the video. Now, what did I learn from all this? Will I work in the industry after this?
No.
I'm a freelancer at heart. Disability defines that, unfortunately. I'll be going into the degree part-time, but I don't see myself working under any big-name companies anytime soon.
No.
What else did I learn? I enjoy adding details and editing and recoloring and lining up line art for shots. I don't enjoy making animatics or communicating pre-production. My favorite moments in class were the silence. Taking out my headphones while working and hearing these kind of ASMR-like taps and zippings of pens, the kind of aura and zen in the air, knowing that they're all struggling like I am. You could kind of smell the creative flow in the air. It's really interesting. My favorite piece of work I made was also an unexpected learning point. The final shot that broke and ended up breaking up 20 more hours of work time sucked. But looking back now, seeing myself revive something from the dead, I'm pretty proud of myself for it. The 2-week grind was also pretty great. Also, that doesn't mean I'm a masochist, I just really like testing the limits of my body.
I want a woman that could crush my head in between her thighs.
To end the video, I want to do something a little bit cheesy. When I started, I knew the definition of the word mural, which is a bit of art on a wall, we all know that. Once my 2-week crunch ended, a little before I went back to uni, I searched up what the definition meant just for fun, and I learned that mural actually has 2 definitions. Mural blood cells are a collective group of blood cells. They upkeep the pipeline that allow blood to circulate in the body, which regulates our blood pressure and keeps us alive. Mural is about a man who walks upon a wall in his mind and, filled with terror and inspiration, destroys himself. And then paints that pain into art on a wall. Mural is also about an artist who struggled to come up with an idea, stuck to an idea, and then, with the regulation of friends and loved ones,
I can't do this. I can't do it.
Finished it. Mural's about pain. It's about blood, and it's about art. And I think that's pretty neat. Thank you for watching. Also, I'm serious, I know I like Machine Girl, but I'm not a masochist.